The situation is starting to heat up for our friends in Citadel. Let's talk about Season 1, Episode 4. Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watcher Pass. And you know what? It's Friday, which means it's Citadel Day. Let's talk about the latest episode, Season 1, Episode 4, Tell Her Everything. It's coming to Amazon Prime on May 12th, 2023. It follows last week's episode where we find out that Mason's wife, at least the new wife in this life that was set up after Citadel, is known by some of the bad guys. Specifically, Anders knows her as something else. That was revealed at the end of Season 1, Episode 3. So Season 1, Episode 4 directly follows that. We get a little bit more backstory here. We get some backstory on all the characters, and we find out a lot more about this overall situation that led to the downfall of Citadel. So my hot take is, look, I think you should watch it. It's actually the first episode in my mind that was really good, that I really enjoyed all the way through, and just kind of like, it had a nice balance of action and intrigue and enough backstory to really kind of get you a better feel for these characters and really get me excited for the rest of this season. So I definitely think you should watch it. And if you are just getting into Citadel or haven't started yet, you're only 4 episodes in, and this is a really good one. So I would catch up so we can keep going on this ride. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the episode. A few things I liked. There really wasn't anything I didn't like, so I'll skip that part. And I'm going to go into a recap just so you can get my thoughts and hear what happened in this episode. So as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in the recap portion. If you don't want to know anything about this episode, I would turn it off then. But before that, I'll keep it vague, and I'll let you know when I get to those spoilers. So in Tell Her Everything, you get a little more backstory on Nadia, on Mason, and this person, Abigail, who is Mason's wife in this new life. You get some more backstory on all of them. And you get to meet a new character that we've seen before, this person, Stanley. He also makes an appearance in this episode. So you get some more characters, some more backstory, and a whole lot of intrigue. So things I liked about this episode. The first, hey, look, some action. I liked the first part of this episode because it started with kind of a high action sequence, a high action moment. That was actually pretty good. It starts kind of with a bang. It starts with a kind of exciting first part to really get you into this episode of Citadel. And I thought it was actually pretty well done action. There's some gunplay, there's some hand-to-hand, there's some knife work. It was pretty impressive for a TV show, and it really shows kind of how deadly these Citadel agents can be when they need to. The second thing I really loved is you get some flawed characters. Now, it's kind of like hinted here and there throughout, but now you really get to see kind of like some of these characters' flaws, and especially some of these Citadel character flaws. Like, I feel like the first few episodes have been Citadel versus Manticore, good versus bad, all that kind of stuff. It's been kind of very black and white. And this introduces some more gray within the Citadel characters. You get some more kind of fluctuations in their moral compass, and you get some tainted backstories that kind of rear their head in this. And I really liked that. I liked how they're kind of like fleshing these characters out and making it not just a simple like good versus evil type of story. And the last thing I loved is you get some pretty big revelations. I feel like you get them in all the episodes, but this episode felt like you had some revelations that are pretty big, some pretty meaningful, and they're going to have reverberations throughout this season. So I really enjoyed them, and I'm excited to see like where they go. So that is Citadel Season 1, Episode 4, Tell Her Everything. It's coming to Amazon Prime on May 12th, 2023. I'm going to get into a recap, so if you don't want to know what happens in this episode, I would turn it off now and go watch the episode. If you still want my thoughts after, or you just kind of want to like a refresh on what happened, come back then. So this episode starts in Morocco. You've got Nadia and Mason doing a raid on a Manticore black site. And this is the kind of that high action moment. You get them infiltrating here. There's a little bit of stealth, a little bit of gunplay, a little hand-to-hand combat. You see how deadly these agents are. They take out like, I don't know, 6 to 8 Manticore agents relatively quickly in order to rescue someone. They get to the cell, they open it up, and you see Carter, disheveled, worse for wear, but you see Carter. This is the person that we saw messages from in the last episode. Nadia had like a laptop that had some messages from Carter about how Manticore was closing in, how they were getting close. He wasn't sure how many more messages he could send. Well, it seems like Manticore got him, and they took him to this black site. Now, the Citadel agents have gone in and rescued him, but that's where kind of the present stops. Carter seems unsure about going with them. He seems scared to go with them, which is weird because they're rescuing him. But that leads to some backstory. That leads to a flashback sequence of 10 years earlier, before the fall of Citadel, before all this craziness happened with Mason and Nadia, and this new person that's introduced named Celeste, who looks very much like Mason's current wife. She's a new agent that was brought in by Nadia. Nadia knows her very well, and so she's brought into Tier 1 to kind of help them out on this new op. And Mason doesn't trust her, but Nadia trusts her completely, and so they bring her in. Her mission is to infiltrate the twins, Anders and Davik, and get this device that they are working on. It's called the Oz Key. It is essentially, you see it in other TV shows, movies. It's like a super hacking device. It'll let whoever has it infiltrate government infrastructure, attack the government from the inside, shut down all their infrastructure, basically kind of make a government go dark. And it's a very powerful device. And obviously Citadel doesn't want to go into the wrong hands. So they are sending in Celeste to try to get as much information as they can and potentially take the Oz Key and get away from Anders and Davik. Now, Celeste is successful. She infiltrates this and gets Anders' trust. But she doesn't have Mason's trust. She kind of stops checking in with him. It goes dark for a very long time. And Mason is worried that maybe she has turned, or maybe she has an ulterior motive. We find out that Celeste's brother, David, no relation, has a very bad gambling problem, a 6-figure debt, and his life is in danger. So Mason puts together that Celeste is trying to get the Oz Key to sell it to a high bidder and then use that to wipe David's debt free and kind of save his life. So he's worried about this. He's worried that they're going to lose the Oz Key. He's worried that Celeste has turned and maybe she'll turn other secrets as well. So they send in an ops team to infiltrate and get the Oz Key and also get Celeste out of there. Now, when the ops team gets there, they get into the base, they, find them. But before that, Celeste had taken the Oz Key and put it in like her bag. And she went to hide that. And when she was hiding that, Anders saw the whole thing. So he now doesn't trust her. He attacks her. She fights back. And during this altercation, the ops team gets in there. Now, the ops team has some losses. They, eventually secure Anders. They secure Celeste. Davik gets away, but they don't secure the Oz Key. And that is like a big issue because the whole point was to get the Oz Key out of there. So they're worried that the Oz Key is out on the open market, and Mason is worried that Celeste already moved it. She moved it beforehand to try to save David's life. And now they need to be careful because she can't be trusted, and she might sell the secrets of Citadel to the highest bidder because she's already shown that she's untrustworthy. Mason's worried that she already took the Oz Key and is now kind of holding the information, and he's worried that she's going to take this information and sell it to the highest bidder. So Mason advocates for this radical procedure called a backstop, where they will erase her memory and kind of craft a new life for her, but she will lose all of her past life. And Mason is saying, we need to do this because she's going to sell these secrets to the highest bidder. It's a risk to Citadel, it's a risk to everyone. We need to make sure that this doesn't happen. And Nadia has never, Nadia has always stood by Celeste. She didn't understand Mason's, distrust of her. When Mason was interrogating her, Nadia shut it down before he could, get too extreme. She seems to be trying to protect Celeste. And so Mason decides to do this with the help of the director and Carter, not disheveled black site Carter, before Carter when he was looking healthy and kind of head of, I think security or head of communications. They decide that they are going to do this backstop and not tell Nadia. They want to erase Celeste's memory, create a new life for her, get her out of there, and keep it all silent from Nadia. I don't know how they're going to do that because Nadia seems to be friends with Celeste. She seems to trust her a lot. So if they send her away, I assume Nadia would visit her at some point, and then Nadia would get there and realize Celeste doesn't know her at all, and that might raise a suspicion or two, because what Mason told Nadia is that they're just going to relocate her. They're going to give her a new identity, throw her up somewhere remote, and then she's going to essentially disappear, but she'll still be there. You know what? It's okay. It's fine. So after Mason convinces everyone involved, they backstop Celeste. They tell her that they're just going to change her fingerprint, change her eyes, make her disappear so she can live her life somewhere else. She agrees to that, but they end up backstopping her, so they erase her memories. And they send her up to Oregon. Mason creates a new life for her, names her Abigail, gives her a house near where his grandma grew up. It's a small town, so she can kind of remain anonymous. Also kind of looks like the house where Mason ends up living after the fall of Citadel and after he kind of gets his memories erased. But that is where Celeste ends up going. Now, it seems all fine, but Mason still seems tense, still seems angry, and this whole erasing Celeste's memory did seem like a very kind of quick reaction to the problem, a need to move quickly, not having any other inputs, not having any other ideas, just basically, we're doing this, we got to do it now, time's of the essence. It felt a little forced. And who realized that? Carter did. So later, after Celeste is all erased, Carter sits down with Mason and he says, they haven't found the Oz Key. Davik didn't take it. Mason, you don't think that Celeste took it. And he also says that Mason seems to be acting out of character. This whole forcing a backstop seemed reckless. It seemed like out of the ordinary for him. It seemed, very kind of strange. And he started wondering like why this would happen. So Carter has access to all the encrypted communications in Citadel. That's his job. His job is to monitor the network and make sure that, nothing unbeknownst is happening. And after his suspicion was like peaked, he went and searched and found that there was an encrypted message sent from a tier 1 agent to the head of the ops team during the raid. Mason tells him to stop, stop there, don't say anything. But Carter keeps going, and he says that the tier 1 message ordered the ops team commander to conceal the Oz key and deliver it directly to them on their return. And you're like, okay, did Mason do this? Nick, no. Carter says that Nadia was the agent that sent this message. And there's been a hint here or there that Nadia was the person that brought down Citadel. You heard that at the end of the last episode when Mason was talking to the crime boss, and he said that Nadia was the reason Citadel went down. So this kind of tracks with things that we've heard. So Carter says that he thinks that Mason backstopped Celeste, so not so that she wouldn't share Citadel secrets, but so that Citadel wouldn't find out that she didn't have any secrets, that she didn't have anything. She was clean. She was doing her mission. And Mason backstopped her so that she couldn't be interrogated. They couldn't find anything more out. He thinks that Mason did this to protect Nadia and to make sure that the questions stopped being asked about where the Oz key was and what happened to it. Carter ends this whole dialogue with him saying that he thinks that even though Mason loves Nadia, that Mason thinks Nadia is the mole, and that's why he's trying to protect her, but he's like conflicted about it. So that is kind of the end of the flashback. We go back to regular times. And we're back in the black site. We're back in the prison cell. Carter is disheveled and a little concerned about what's happening. He seems hesitant to go with them. He seems like trepidatious about what the whole situation is. And he looks at Mason and says, "You did this." And Mason's like, "What? Like, what do you mean?" And he's like, "Not you, her." And he looks directly at Nadia. And boom, that's the episode. So big revelation. We think that Nadia maybe was the reason for Citadel falling. Citadel fell, I guess, 8 years ago. There's been implications that it was someone on the inside. There's been talk about Nadia, and now we get another accusation from Carter that Nadia did it. And we also think that maybe she took the Oz key. So what does this mean? What do we think will happen in the future? Well, I'm guessing that Carter is going to get extracted, and he's going to kind of start working with them. But we'll also probably get some more information on what happened after Nadia theoretically took the Oz key, probably that time between when Celeste was backstopped and when Citadel fell. It seems like perhaps Nadia was involved. I don't know. I don't get that from her. I don't get that she's a double agent, that she's a mole. That doesn't seem to be kind of the vibe that we've gotten so far, but who knows? That's 2 accusations, but maybe they are just kind of like using her as a scapegoat. Maybe she is protecting someone else, or I don't know, maybe something else. Maybe Mason is the one. Mason was very adamant about this. Maybe Mason is the one that brought Citadel down, and that's also why he didn't remember. Maybe he wiped himself. I don't know, but I think we will get some more revelations in the next episode. I don't watch the next on Citadel scene, so I don't know what that showed, but this is just my guesses. I think the next episode will show more about what happened after Celeste was backstopped. We'll probably get a little bit more on Mason and Nadia and maybe why they ended up kind of drifting apart. I wonder if this would be the reason that they drifted apart, because Mason did this horrible thing to protect Nadia, and that might cause some resentment, cause some frustration in there. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out next week, but I am excited to see what happens. That is Citadel Season 1, Episode 4, Tell Her Everything. It's coming to Amazon Prime on May 12th, 2023. And thanks so much for watching. If you liked this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. And come back. Let me know what you think about this episode. Let me know what I got right. Let me know what I got wrong. Let me know what you think is going to happen next. I'm excited to continue this journey, so thank you.